What's going on, people? Welcome to Man Knows Football. We are back, myself and Matisse. It has been a hot minute. Matisse, Mr. Work, and all quality as well. You get me? It's not just quantity, it is quality from Matisse. He has been keeping us Chelsea fans who have been starving throughout the World Cup. And, even during the transfer window, man, while some of us have been on our bedside sick and crying to God for help. So we appreciate you a lot, Matisse. I say thank you on behalf of your fan base, bro, because I'm also a part of that fan base. Let's not get it twisted. Just because I make content doesn't mean I'm not a fan of certain people. I am a huge fan of Matisse. I've been watching this brother's videos before I even started the channel. So it's always good to work with you. So thank you,
bro. Thank you
from us Chelsea fans.
I'm trying
for keeping us entertained and for making such great content. But today we are here to discuss a question that is floating around on social media, and it seems to have two extremes. Something that Chelsea we always go through. There's never a middle ground for anything. If it's Mason Mount, it's the extreme or the other extreme. If it's Kai Havertz, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Now we're going through it with Graham Potter. Does Graham Potter stay, or should he be sacked? Now, before we answer that question, Matisse, I'm just going to ask you how you feel about our latest string of results. Let's just narrow it down to the last 10 Premier League games that he has been. Has he even been here for 10 games in the Premier?
I thought he was going to narrow it to 2. Because since the World Cup.
All right. To avoid confusion, let's do the last 3 games.
Newcastle, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest.
Yep. How many points did we get from them 3 games?
3 points out of 9, and 1 win in the last 8 or 7 or something. Because we had no wins in 5, and now it's 2 extra games, so that's minimum no win in 7. I'm not going to go any further back than that because I can't be asked. But I think this whole in-out thing is a bit. I don't partake in it, right? I don't partake in it because I think it started with Arsenal. It started with Arsenal's fan base. It started with Wenger, and this whole in and out and who's in and who's out and shake it all about. For me, the only time I've ever publicly on social media ever asked for a manager to be relieved of their duty respectfully was Frank Lampard after the defeat against Leicester, where we lost. And then consequently, he was sacked a week later after the win against Luton. That was when I had enough, because I could see tactically, personally, he wasn't able to deal with the situation, and he was all over the place. But it takes a lot for me to say that somebody's got to leave their job. And for me, I feel like when it comes to this situation, yes, he has been poor. He has been making mistakes, and 100% I'm going to criticize. But I'm not going to go as far to say that man should be going. I don't even think for me, it's not even a conversation. For me, it's not. Because if you're going to bring in a long-term manager and you know you're not going to get instant success, and you know you're not going to get instant results, and you know that the team is fundamentally flawed and imbalanced, as well as him tactically making errors as well, well, then you have to just, unfortunately, we have to suck it up. And yes, we're going to criticize the crap out of it, but we have to suck it up and get through it. Obviously, now, as time goes on, we expect more and more. For me, this season, by the end of the season, I want to see some style. I want to see some consistency from game to game. I want to see some patterns. I want to see some clear traits of what a Chelsea team looks like. We're not seeing it yet, but by the end of the season, I would like to see that, because he hasn't had a preseason. He's now had the World Cup break, but he was only working with a select few players. So he hasn't, I'm going to give him, I want to see, see that. And then when it comes to him as a personality, I'm not going to lie. It is bland. It is bland as hell. We're used to big characters. I'm not talking about knee sliding on the touchline and giving it the big one. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about we're used to big personalities. We're used to somebody giving us a little bit more emotion after post-match. I think when fans see that a manager is very calm and very he's very just kind of bland at the moment, right? Win, lose, draw, he doesn't really, he's very calm about it. And people are taking that the wrong way because they want results, and they also want a reaction. And for me, I'm just looking for some ruthlessness from him. I'm looking for ruthlessness. If you're looking at players and you're saying, right, he doesn't fit he's not good enough, he doesn't want to be here, then I want to see that you can get rid of those players and you have the kahunas to get rid of them and be ruthless and make decisions. If you've got a big contract, that gives you a safety net and security to make those decisions. Managers on 1 or 18-month contracts can't just start ruthlessly kicking out players, but you can. And Arteta's shown that, Pep's shown that, etc. I understand that people also might not think he can handle a process. They might think that he's not the guy to do the process. They might want a process, but they might just think that he isn't the one that can do it. They might think that he's not able to coach at the highest level. Maybe he's a good coach. He can put together a team. He improved Ostersunds. He improved Brighton. He's turned 10 million, 5 million players into 60, 70, 80 million players. So you have to give him credit for that. He didn't do that by accident. I've seen people try to rewrite history and say Brighton made him look better than he is. That's absolute bollocks.
It's nonsense.
Absolute bollocks. When he came into that Brighton job, Chris Hughton had them flirting around relegation zone, and they were playing shit football. He came in there and turned them into their best points ever finished.
And let me just add in there, his job when he was hired by Brighton was simply to just keep them up in the Premier League. That's all he was asked to do. And this man had them finishing where? Was it 6th, 7th or something like that? In the second season he was there, or third season he was there. That's not to be like taken lightly, you know. And then obviously, and another thing that he's gone through, right? And I think he's handling this criticism extremely well, because this isn't his first rodeo. When he first joined Ostersunds, he was getting the same sort of reception. Oh, the football's rubbish. You don't know what he's doing. Then obviously he done what he done in the Europa League, that result against Arsenal, and more stuff I'm sure that he did over there.
Yeah.
Put credit in the bank. Then he moved to Brighton and he done what he did. Got involved with the recruitment. Had his style of play and whatever. But even in the beginning there, they were talking about this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He needs to go. Right? So
he is a good coach.
Yeah.
But
he is.
We don't know if he's going to be a top manager. And obviously a top manager has a lot more intangibles that you have to bring. You can't just be good tactically or be a good coach. You need to be able to handle the egos. You need to be ruthless. You need to be able to handle the pressure. All of these intangibles that we're not going to know inside the first few months. So people that are asking the question of that, I'm asking the question of that too. I'm not here to sit here and tell you that Potter's the right man. I didn't even say that I wanted Potter. We sacked Tuchel so quick, and I was going through my own personal thing there. I didn't know who I wanted. I didn't even come to grips with Tuchel. I didn't even get to grips with Tuchel being sacked. By the time Potter was hired, I was still thinking about Tuchel. So that took me by storm. So this wasn't even a recommendation that I was really even thinking of. He just came into the job and you just had to get on with it. I'm not sure if he's the right man. I'm not here to sit here and tell you he's definitely the right man.
Facts.
But for me personally, and my patience, and everybody's got their own tolerance, right? And I'm not gonna come here and sit here and trash Chelsea fans for not having patience, because that's what they've grown up on. They've grown up in an environment where we don't have patience. We have been birthed and created by a Chelsea football club that are the most ruthless in the business, that have high standards, that should not be dropped to the nth degree. We should not be saying that this is a free season. We should not be going into the Man City game at the weekend in the FA Cup having no chance and accepting defeat. We should not be going into the Champions League and not thinking that we can do something. Everything that I'm talking about in terms of patience, that comes from league table success. That comes from seeing Chelsea be shit in the league since 2017 and not compete in the league whatsoever in terms of winning it. I know we need to go through a long-term strategy before we get back to the Premier League. But in the cup competitions, you cannot tell me we can't do something in a cup. Arteta won an FA Cup in his first season. So that's not process. That's literally on the day in a knockout game tactically. As a manager, you do your job. You perform. So it depends on what competition you're looking at. It depends.
100%. Tristan, thank you very much for the super chat. Big up Guni and Matisse. My problem with Potter is he doesn't coach the players. Do we know that though? I want a coach like Eddie Howe. He wants his way and no other way. But this is the thing. We're making some of these assumptions, but we don't know that. Just because he is more of a reserved, and I don't know if docile is the right word. I think that's a bit insulting. If my definition of that meaning is correct, but he's not the most animated manager. But then with that, right? It might just be his formula where he's better at expressing himself without losing his head all the time. Do you know what I mean? There's different methods of doing things. There's different methods of doing things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Look, my thing is this, yeah. It's like you, very similar. I understand the frustration in the fan base purely because of our DNA. And in terms of being ruthless, in terms of, club level, we're probably potentially outside of Real Madrid, the most ruthless club in world football since Abramovich. So I understand why the fans are going the way they are. Well, some of them. But here's part of what we all need to understand. First of all, what we're going through, and some of us Chelsea fans who've accepted the current state of this squad, we've got no choice but to go through this. It was always going to be like this up until bare minimum January. I even said Thomas Tuchel stays or he doesn't stay. The struggle's still going to be there. The same players are still going to be injury prone. The same players that Sarri, Frank Lampard, and even Tuchel complained about are still there in the core. A lot of them in the midfield, a lot of them being senior players as well. They're still going to be there. So I acknowledge the handicap that this guy had. And also as well, I think he's very disingenuous to be criticizing him the way we are when we also know that the level of experience that he had before this is nowhere near the top level. Because remember, there's also some growing pains that's going to be involved in that.
Yeah.
And we should have taken, we as Chelsea fans should know this. We should take this into account. I'm just here trying to be fair and be fair on the gaffer. However, at the same time, this isn't a blindly defend Graham Potter situation. There's things in game where he needs to improve drastic.
He has to learn. He has to learn quickly.
He must learn. He's got to learn. And that's the thing. And in terms of personnel, some of the substitutions, and I mean, I'm just narrowing it down to the last game. I mean, I'm not one that's saying Zakaria lit up the world in the last game. I think he was bang average at best. But when he was there was some kind of presence in that midfield. Now, I'm not saying, what I'm saying is I don't know if he was injured or whatever, but the substitution for me was a bit of a funny one. You took him off and you took Kovacic on. Jorginho, who was struggling and was a passenger for that game. Look, he has his uses and others he doesn't. And Jorginho's not the only culprit in this game. But I just felt that was a bit of a funny substitution. I also feel like us going over to Nottingham, going 1-0 up, we've seen this several times under different managers before. We took our foot off the gas immediately. As soon as there was some kind of physicality in that midfield and some kind of intense pressing.
I don't know if we ever had our foot on the gas, to be honest. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, yeah, true. Because even the nature...
Even when we were winning, bro, I'm still not really that impressed.
Even the nature of that goal, it was a little jammy, wasn't it? Because...
Yeah. Do you know what it is, is with him, when he put the team out, and I'm seeing a lot of people reflecting on the game, and they're being a little bit unfair. Koulibaly starts over Trevor. Cool. Because Koulibaly in the last game, we got a clean sheet. He didn't want to make changes. He wanted to keep... He's already bringing in Azpilicueta, so I'm going to give him the grace that he wanted to keep the same team, which is what a lot of us wanted to see. We want to see the same team. We want to see stability. We don't want to see too much chopping and changing. He's changed a lot of formation, a lot of system. He wanted to keep things the same and go again and give players an opportunity to establish a chemistry and an understanding. Now, we know Trevor Chalobah has probably been arguably Chelsea's best defender prior the World Cup, so it is very harsh on him. And I'd say for the game coming up against Man City, he has a shout to be back in the team because Koulibaly has been very, very shaky. But he tried to put stability into the team. And then when it comes down to the right back situation, listen, he's always going to play Azpilicueta there. It is what it is. We need to go and buy a right back. So in terms of the starting 11, Pulisic and Sterling were given their run-outs again on the flanks. It didn't work this time. For me, the main issue in that game was the midfield.
100%.
The midfield. And not to say Koulibaly was poor. Azpilicueta was poor. Sterling was poor. Pulisic was poor. Listen, but the midfield is what I'm seeing is the difference maker for a lot of teams this season. Look at Manchester United, for instance. Manchester United were and have been pretty poor for years. And sometimes fortunate, even under Oli, when they were kind of shithousing their way through some results. You bring Casemiro into that team and look at the difference. We look at Arsenal versus Brighton. They got a bit complacent towards the end, but on the whole, another very important performance. Look at one of the goals, Partey winning the ball turns into a goal. Chelsea's midfield is imbalanced and is built backwards. Chelsea rely upon or want creativity from their deepest midfielder in Jorginho, right? Yeah. They want the pass. Chelsea then have the Mikel, he's meant to be the Mikel of the team. Or listen, this is a very budget Mikel, but this is meant to be the P&P tackling, you know, breaking up of the play. He's playing in the Odegaard role. He's playing in the Odegaard role. He's playing in the Kevin De Bruyne role. Are we, and we're expecting to create chances. We got Zakaria playing in between the lines, high up the pitch, and we're expecting creativity from him. We're expecting the final pass, and we've got Mason Mount making Mbappe runs off the ball instead of what he did for the goal, which was come into the half space, receive the ball from Silva, turn and play the pass. That's what I want him to do. But he was making runs to be Mbappe, to be running and trying to be the third man runner. And so we tried to do long ball a lot of the game in the first half. That's got to stop. You have more creative players. Let's just go back to basics. In any level of football, you want your creative players further forward, your pass masters, and you want your better tacklers and defensive players at the back. Let's stop. We're doing too much. And I wasn't annoyed that Zakaria was starting because I think Jorginho needs that P&P. Jorginho plays at his best with P&P next to him, whether it be Locatelli, whether it be Allen at Napoli, whether it be Kante in the Champions League. He plays best with some P&P next to him because it covers up and it helps him with some of the flaws that we all know he has. Yeah. So I wasn't annoyed with Zakaria playing. What I was annoyed with is the shape. It wasn't even the team selection. It was the roles. Sometimes it's not the players. Sometimes it's just the way that they're playing in terms of the roles and what they're being asked to do or what they're actually doing. And for me, I just didn't get why we were doing that. It didn't make sense. So yes, Sterling was really poor, but are we all going to sit here and pretend like Sterling's some shit player? How could it be possible that he could come from a title-winning team and come to us and give us a man of the match performance one week and then be awful the next? I'm looking at Sterling and he's got Aspilicueta behind him and he's got Zakaria in the half spaces next to him. That's not really what he needs, is it? So I can understand why he might not be doing what he needs to do. Do you know what I mean? As much as he was bodied. So
and apply that not just to him, but the front three in general, because they're all going to suffer from what's behind them. I get it. And the thing with Sterling, right? Listen, there's certain things about him, right? And I've said this before he even joined Chelsea. He's not the best at beating players one-on-one, right? Technically, he can be a little bit sus. But, yeah, if you're playing forward on that transition and he's on the front foot, right? That's where he's going to get his goals. Them diagonal switch balls that we don't ever play at Chelsea Football Club because we don't have the capability to do it. If Jorginho's pressed out of the game, see you later. Your best hope is waiting for Thiago Silva or one of the centre-backs to do it, by the way. And speaking of being arsed backwards, wasn't Thiago Silva the one that was doing the most progression in the game?
Bro, he had the most touches. He was the most progressive passing player in that team. He was the one spotting the runs. He was the... Do you know what it is, yeah? Thiago Silva is a blessing and he's a curse.
Yeah.
But I love him and I still want him to stay because you should never blame your best players for why you're shit. But you see how over-reliant this team is in possession. They don't take any responsibility for actually doing something on the ball. They just go to Thiago Silva. Thiago Silva. Why is Thiago Silva, without Reece James now, our best player on and off the ball? Defensively, our best defender. On the ball, our best player. Why is a 37-year-old having to do everything? He shouldn't even have to start every week. He should be chilling on the bench. He should be chilling. Bro, Thiago Silva should be on the bench with his wife. Do you know what I'm saying? They should be going, come on, Chelsea. Bro, they should be laughing, coming in for the odd critical game and back out. But we got him out here doing the 10-hour shifts. We got him out here doing the 12-hour shifts, doing the night shifts, and he ain't even getting double pay. Man's on minimum wage doing the night shifts. It's not making sense.
And the fact that he hasn't broken down to this point at this point is testament to him. Bro, absolute testament.
He will go down as an all-time great.
Oh, 100%.
The homage he needs when he leaves, I'm telling you, bro. It's insane what he's on.
100%. Hey, CFC Blue, thank you for the super chat, my bro. It does not matter what manager comes in. He will fail with this team because it's shit. Should be start playing on Mari and Carney, got nothing to lose. And I don't disagree. I don't
let's get into that.
Yeah,
Let's
I
get
don't
into that.
disagree. The first part I'm going to get into is, like I said several times, the squad is at a handicap, but thankfully, it's now the 3rd of January. Looks like we're actually addressing one part of the midfield problem. We're going to talk about Enzo Fernandez a little bit later on. I don't want to make this all about him. It's been spoken about everywhere and it's becoming a saga at this point. Let's just wait for the player to hold the shirt and we'll get into more detail about that. But the second part of this, Amari Hutchinson and Carney as well, Chukwuemeka. The situation with Amari Hutchinson, right? At this point, we've got nothing to lose, I think. And when we're at a stage where we're consistently being let down by our seniors, right? I'd rather now start seeing the youth come on. And if they make a mistake, they're going to be more understandable because this is part of their development. They have to learn. They have to make mistakes somewhere. Amari Hutchinson can play on that right side or he can play on that left side. What I saw from Pulisic, I don't care about the assist. I've lost patience with him. I have lost patience. And I'm even suspecting that since his last injury, or possibly the injury before that, he's lost some of that explosiveness. Because I've seen him trying to get away from his marker and attack the box, and the explosiveness is not the same. It's not the same. I think that's one major factor that's affecting him. Kai Havertz, as we know, we're using him centrally. Sometimes he's used out wide. I'm not his biggest fan when he's used out wide. Mason Mount, again, when he's asked to do a roll out wide, he does the best that he can, but I still want to see him in that number 8 position and being used in that proper role. While these guys are not performing, and Omari's got the technical ability that he does and the brilliance that he does, why can't we give him a go? Why can't we give Chukwuemeka a go?
So this is my criticism, right? You have a 5-year contract with a massive payout if we were to ever sack you, which we won't. Because if we do, and if we did, this board would have a lot to answer for. That would be the first sign that this board, for me,
massive distrust. Yeah,
you got a long way to go, a lot to learn now. Because it's okay for the fans to shout sack him, because like I said, it's ingrained in the DNA and the history of Chelsea. So we've never done this. What we're doing right now, we've never done this before. So I'm not expecting everybody to like it. I'm not expecting everybody to respect it. But you're gonna have to watch it, and it's gonna have to happen in front of you, and you're gonna have to firm it. That's one thing you're going to have to do. Unless it gets disrespectfully bad. And I'm talking like now we're starting to float around where, like, you know, relegation and 6-7 points off. Now, cool. Because there has to be a base level of expectation where you don't go below that level. I've always said it. There has to be a standard that you don't fall behind. Because if you do, then, you know, now you're just taking the piss. But in terms of the decision-making from Potter, why you can't bring Amari on when you've got a 5-year contract? What do you have to lose? Because like you said, when you've got talented young players, the patience is naturally going to come with that because they're developing, because they're raw, because they haven't got the experience. I would much rather see Chelsea chilling in 9th, getting bantered, but we were playing a young team that had talent and they were just making mistakes. And that's fair enough. Individual errors can happen. But when it's happening from players in their prime, players that don't want to be here, players that don't give a damn,
players that have track record in the Premier League,
that's a different conversation. That's a different conversation, because when you're in your prime, I'm expecting you to play to Chelsea's level.
Yes.
Which is top of the table, or at least competing. If you're in your prime and you're not playing at Chelsea level, then you need to leave. And I've said it so many times, and that's why I don't flip-flop on some of these players that we talk about, like the Ziyech's. Listen, they might be a good player.
Yeah.
Aubameyang might not be getting the service. We could keep going through everybody. Even players that I thought would be great signings like Koulibaly. You got to fix up. You got to fix up because you're in your prime. You're in your prime. You were bought as a leader. He was bought as a leader to be the next leader to Thiago Silva. You've got to step up.
Can we talk about this guy for 1 second, right? I'm super disappointed. Now, I understand he's not the greatest in defending the wide spaces, right? And another thing is what doesn't help him is what he's got in front of him also puts him under pressure, because he sees that it's basically a polo thing, a donut thing, nothing in the middle of that midfield. He is forced to step into that midfield. But this is why I get pissed off with him, right? Especially in the last game. My brother, with all that physicality that you've got, yeah, and with all that eba and fufu that you're eating now, yeah, How is it that you're losing every single 50-50? Every 50-50
Bro,
against
to be honest, with him, yeah. You got when I spoke to Napoli or Serie A experts over the summer, they said this is a quality defender, which I believe it is. It's a player that has had a lot of stability in his life behind the scenes for a very long time. He's been at Napoli for a very long time.
Yeah.
You know how Serie A players can get. They love the Napolis, the Romas. They don't move.
They don't leave.
And there's a reason why sometimes they don't move, because they don't like instability. It's very homely. It's very settled. It's very consistent. Therefore, the performances reflect that. Now, when you take them out of that environment, especially our environment, and you put them in chaos, change of manager, change of staff, you know, just everything is just turned upside down while he's been here. He is not reacting to it like others who are used to it. You know, I'm used to moving house. I've lived in, and this is real, right? True. Over my childhood, over my life, I've probably lived in over 15 different houses. I've probably attended over 6 or 7 different schools. I've moved country and moved back. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a damn. But for someone else who's always lived in the same house and has always, you know, they've got that, that little meter chart where you measure your height. Only that don't move house has got that shit in their yard where you got, we got 3 kids and we're going to measure their height. And we're going to see every year if you've grown a few inches. You only got that shit in your yard if you ain't moved. We don't do that around here. I ain't never done that shit. Do you know what I mean? We don't have time for that. So, but if you're not used to moving, school, changing friends, environment, you're going to freak out when you do. And that potentially is what is causing some of this chaos for him. Because I can't believe that he's playing like this. You know, he's playing to the level where it's like, if you actually kept Levi Colwill, you ain't seeing too much difference. I'm gonna keep it a buck because
you're seeing better performances.
Levi Colwill is a really. I was borderline gonna lose it in the summer when I thought we were gonna sell him, because I was like, no, this is a. But I don't. But nobody can call me a Cobham sexual or whatever they want to call it, because I don't give a damn like that. It's not about that. I just rate it individually. I'm excited about Lewis Hall. I'm not excited about Gallagher. If someone pays 25 million for Gallagher tomorrow, I accept it, no questions asked. You don't even hear a word from me. I don't even know if I'm gonna make a video. Best believe. Like I'm cool with that. But when it comes down to Levi Colwill, I think there's clear talent there. Now, I'm not saying he's not gonna make mistakes, but my brother, this is the point that we just made. If Koulibaly is going to make mistakes anyway, then what's the point? Do you know what I mean?
Play your investment instead. That's going to appreciate. And also, I want to say this about Levi Colwill as well. Yeah, I think that boy has the potential to be of that Reece James level of talent. I think he's that good, bro. And you know what I'm happy about? I'm happy that he's not built like Reece James, so we don't have to worry about the extra stress on his knees and his ankles and the ligament damage and so on and so forth. I hope this boy can stay fit, because I've got a lot of faith in that kid. And, you know, it also throws into question for me, like, the Badiashile signing. Was it really necessary? But do you know what? Really thinking about it, Thiago Silva's going to go. Yeah. Koulibaly, although we just signed him, he's old enough for it to be a make or break season for him. He's in the same boat as Aubameyang, in my opinion, purely because of age. So there is still a chance that we can get rid of him. So there's definitely still chances for 2 centre-backs to step into the team. I just really hope that Colwill does get his chance. But it's like you said, at this point, Matisse, right? Look, the season that we're going to have, to me, to those of you that were around for this, it was a tough time. It was a disgusting time. Some of our players had been turned on. It was a whole madness. Yeah, and I don't think it can get any worse than this, just given the divide that was in the club at the time.
Yeah, I don't think we're not in a worse situation. Last season was genuinely one of the worst seasons, not because of league position or anything, because we actually made top 4. Just the sanctions, Lukaku, contracts running out of players that we actually rate. Let's be real. I'm not sure about Badiashile, right? I'm not sure about him. I haven't watched enough of him. I've spoken to people who know him. I've had an episode of Joe Tweedy. He knows him very well. I'm not sure, though, because he could go either way. He could be a Upamecano or he could be a Konate. I know Konate just made a mistake last night, but in general, Konate's been good. He could go either way. He looks a little bit rash at times, a little bit aggressive, but we'll see. That could go good and bad.
I worry. There's one thing about him I worry about is his hamstrings.
Oh, well, I haven't even looked into that. I'm not going to
Yeah,
lie,
you
because he
lot.
is an official. Yeah. So
Before I don't want to get into too much detail about that, but again, over at the Football Factory, those of you that know in New York City, it's got every fan base that there is you can think of.
yeah.
So sometimes I go there after work and I just pass through. I spoke to Monaco fans specifically about Badiashile, and they said he's had several hamstring injuries already at the young age. No doubt that he's got potential. It
Yeah.
just depends where he goes and who he's going to develop under. Now, he's coming.
I can't co-sign. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
that's
I'm
what
not
I'm saying.
co-signing.
I'm going by I'm going by
Yeah.
hearsay, but because anything else
I'm going by when you get here, welcome.
we'll judge.
And
Yeah,
we'll judge you there. Do you know, like, he's one of those players. I'm not co-signing this one because I don't know him like that. Do you know what I mean? I'm just trying to gather information, and then once you get here, you know, we go from day one and we see what you can do. Chelsea's one of their biggest mistakes was letting Rudiger go. That's not this ownership's fault, but the fact that we let him go as a left-sided centre back, who we had actually gone through all of the you know, ups and downs, and we actually dealt with all of the issues, and then we actually got to the other side where we actually got to see the world-class centre back and the leadership and the shithousery and all of the traits and things that this Chelsea team at times lack, on top of the quality, because he's a good ball playing centre back in the end. Us losing that and Tuchel losing that really is what started the problems, really, isn't it? So you know, so that's a massive problem for us. But yeah, I think for me, I think Potter needs to start playing Amari Hutchinson, or at least bringing him off the bench. He needs to start looking at Lewis Hall. He needs to start looking at Carney, because your seniors are not doing the business. You can say whatever you want, you know, in terms of excuses, but they're not doing the business. And I still believe that a lot of these players are technically and physically limited. Whether it's physically in Azpilicueta and Jorginho and Ziyech not having that explosive pace that would literally change his game completely and make him so unpredictable. Whether it's mentally, Aubameyang not giving a damn, not getting his fade on the end of that ball from Ziyech, which was such a simple header, didn't even connect with it, like he's moving like Tammy Abraham.
On his six punch, bro.
Brother,
absolute.
It's just unacceptable, bro. It's unacceptable to have these stopgap signings. Never wanted Aubameyang, and you ain't getting your head on that. Because again, that is something Tammy Abraham would have done in his first season, but I would have been calm because he's developing. So that's the point. So if you're gonna and if Potter can't deal with the egos, what did Arteta do? I'm gonna give him some praise. He got rid of them. Fuck them off. If you can't handle the big egos, because not all big players are hard to manage. Thiago Silva is a dream to manage, but Aubameyang is not. So if you can't handle the egos, then fuck them out. Get them out, because it's a team game anyway. You can't handle the egos, move them on. You're not Carlo Ancelotti. That's fine. If you can't get the best out of the limited experienced players that have little things in their game that could be of use, but really, when you ask them to do something that, okay, that's not working for you, what else can you do? Nothing. So, okay, move on from that. Start using the young players and developing them and coaching them. If you're a coach, improve the young players. That's the bare minimum I expect. You have the coaching ability to improve players. I've seen it. McAllister, Caicedo, go and do that. And finally, do not treat anybody like a bona fide starter or a bona fide key indispensable player, because they don't deserve it.
No one deserves it.
They're asking in the chat for us to talk about Mason Mount and Kai Havertz. They had great performances against Bournemouth. You don't need to build this team around Mason Mount yet. He's not that level yet. He's a very, very good player. He's a very, very good player on his day, but he has developing to do. He needs to be coached. He needs to be improved. He needs to get back on the right track. So if you are going to do that and you are going to improve him, then what do? You need to bring in starters and you need to bring in quality players. Don't bring in Gallagher's for competition for players in starting 11 that are not even bona fide starters yet, that still have to develop. Why are we bringing in developing players like Gallagher to competition for Mason Mount when Mason Mount is still needing to be pushed? He needs better competition. He needs a player that is better than him. I want to see him next to a Kevin De Bruyne, or I want to see him next to a world-class player. So then at the moment, if he's not playing well, then okay, you go on the bench and you're gonna go and you're gonna train and you're gonna develop and you're gonna get back to the Mason Mount that won the Player of the Year the first year. Because the reason why I was so annoyed that he won it the second year is, one, Silva and Rudiger deserved it, but two,
100.
it gassed a lot of people and started making them tell lies, because you could just fall back on Player of the Year. It's like Tottenham with Hugo Lloris. He won the World Cup. My brother, we have eyes. I can see that this player is not what I saw at Vitesse. This player is not what I saw at Derby. This player is not what I saw in the first 2 seasons.
First 2 seasons at Chelsea.
He is either regressing or he is stagnating. I'm not saying it's all his fault. I think it's the manager's fault as well. I think it's Southgate's fault.
I think it's the club. Club.
It's a lot of people are to blame, but we need to get him back on track. And that doesn't mean inflating any ego and saying that he's some sort of indispensable. It's never his fault. No. Everybody be humble. We're ninth. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is some indispensable top player that can't be touched. No. You're all in ninth together. So you're all going to firm it together, and you're all going to learn that you got shit to improve in yourselves and as a team. Nobody's better than nobody right now. You're all shit right now. You're ninth in the league. Brentford and Fulham have taken over West London. This has never happened. You'll never see anything like this again. This is like, we are ninth. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's no egos now. So
I was gonna say, Matisse, I hope there's a fire extinguisher in your room, because your mic must be burning right
now.
Brother,
I'm just tired, bro. I'm tired of the biased analysis. Yeah. I'm tired of everybody mentioning Jorginho's weaknesses and faults. 100% they're there, but then they're pretending like Loftus-Cheek is the best thing since sliced bread.
It's mental.
Stop
bro.
it. Stop doing it. Stop.
Even at the fact, bro, that Zakaria seems to be the answer for this midfield.
Bro, stop doing it, bro. If you're gonna be analyzing weaknesses and things in people's games, do it across the board. Don't pretend like Loftus-Cheek ain't an old man now.
He's done out here.
Yeah, if you've got Andre Santos coming through, if you've got Charlie Webster, who could have been developed but's going to Dortmund or PSV, if you've got Carney, and then you're trying to pretend like as if Loftus-Cheek's not blocking their way. Don't lie. Don't lie because he's your favourite. Don't lie because he's from Cobham. Don't lie because you've got an emotional attachment. Let's be real. He's a great ball carrier. He's versatile. But my brother, he ain't a great passer. So we know when we get to the final third, some of them decisions ain't on point. Don't lie. If you're going to mention Jorginho's weaknesses, do it. But do it with everyone. That's the point.
Yeah, that's
the problem in this fan base, is people get very emotionally attached to their players and their different cults, and they don't actually want to come together and be like, you know what? Yeah, let's stop the cap now. We need to stop being so overly emotional. We need to stop the new contracts for players with overinflated intangibles. Yeah, 100%. Because we all knew Aspilicueta was falling off last season, but now when it's time to actually get rid of him and the new contract comes out, we all want to pretend like he's good enough. And now we have to use him like we knew we would have to. We spoke about it together on this show. We knew Aspilicueta was going to be a key player this season because Tuchel wanted a right back or a right wing back. We all wanted right wing backs and right backs. And because we got emotionally attached, and because Todd was like, yo, new players are coming in. Someone needs to help being found a house and whatnot. He's got that dad thing with the tuck the shirt. I get it. But brother can't be starting in this team, bro.
He can't. He's finished. He shouldn't be wearing the Chelsea shirt right about now.
We can't be doing this emotional thing.
The most they should be doing is ambassadorial duties, bruv, and off the pitch, nothing on the pitch.
Brother.
Hey, I've been trying to get the super chats out and go through the comments, but the way you've been setting your mic on fire and that, bruv, I've just been letting you go, because you've been spitting some facts. We got 829 people in the building, Taras. People, smash up that like button. I don't think it's too much to ask for 500 likes. That's 329 less than what we've got in here. Get me up to 500 likes, people. Get me? I'd appreciate that. The algorithm would like that too. But let me get into this super chat. Let's be real. We hired Potter for his ability to improve young players. The squad, especially midfield, needs an overhaul. Potter will improve once that happens. I believe so. I have to agree with that. And I do think there's a coach / manager, whatever you want to call it, in Potter. But like Matisse, just because I'm backing him for his first season and he's barely had a January, right, does not mean in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons time, I think he should still be here. Again, you have to earn that with me. Yeah, there's a level of merit that you have to have. But at the same time, we have to give every manager that comes in the same playing field. Because you can't say Tuchel had this handicap and Potter didn't. You can't, because we're essentially in the same position. So that's where I'm at with that right now. C says first team players are too comfy on their wages. Well, this is something that we've been going through since Sarri. You know, Lampard said several players don't deserve to be there. There was some that he benched and he wanted to get out of the club. The club didn't back it, and eventually he lost his job. Tuchel, very similar situation. Didn't have much time to do it. So some say. I don't know what the truth is behind that. But Potter's left. He's come in. No transfer window whatsoever. He's got January to work with, which is notoriously the most difficult transfer month to work in anyway. See what I'm saying? So we have to, just out of not being disingenuous, give this guy at least a season. Watch the recruitment process in January. Watch what he wants to bring in the summer. Because those are the two key periods for us. Top four for me, it's not happening. It's not happening. The gulf in quality between us and most teams that are above us is huge because that midfield handicap is poor. I haven't seen a midfield that bad. And I don't even want to disrespect the championship, but that's championship level.
Do you know what it is as well, yeah? People will ask, why do you keep banging on about squad players? This is my mindset when it comes to this shit. But other people will go the other way, and that's fine. I get it. My side of things is the reason why I bang on about squad players that shouldn't be there, either because they're not high potential enough or they're not showing that they're good enough and, you know, they're literally just squad players, is because I believe that if you make your starters, who, by the way, let's be real, if this Chelsea team are playing to their full potential, they're probably about fourth, third. They're not title winning team yet. There's a lot of things in this team that are still missing. My thing is if don't act like the starting team's good enough. Make the starters the bench players, and then with good recruitment, make get some better starters and get some more high potential players, and then you will just see overall a better squad. Imagine how good the squad would be if some of our bona fide starters were rotational players. Do you know what I'm saying? For me, I look at it and I say there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of emotional attachment, and there's a lot of weakness starting to creep in, not only in the playing squad but also in the fan base, and that's coming with a lowering of expectations and whatnot and etc. And like always, there's a balance to this because we can't think that we're just going to go and win a Premier League by sacking a manager. It's not going to happen. But at the same time, we shouldn't be ninth. We should be, you know, outside, probably around about outside the top four, and we're in it. But you know, if we don't make it, it's not a shock to anyone. We've been flirting with the line of not making top four, even with world-class managers like Tuchel. We've been going to the last day of the season and not making top four. There's context, ownership change, you know, cool, all these things. But on the whole, since 2017, Sarri, Lampard, we ain't comfy. We've been struggling. So this is not new. It's just getting a bit too over the top now.
It is.
So
it's a lot.
So for me, I just feel like, yeah, we need to see some more young players in the team. We need Potter to be ruthless. You need to get rid of some of the players that aren't working for you. And it's the second season in a row that I want Kai Havertz to start up front. And it's not because Kai Havertz has been consistent. It's not, he's working really hard. I'll give him that. He works hard. He gets back. He makes his tackles. But in terms of goal scoring and, you know, the output, it's very inconsistent. Very inconsistent. But I'm happy to see him starting because the other option is Aubameyang. And last time the other option was Lukaku. We need to stop that shit. That shit's got to stop. That shit's... Stop buying mercenaries, brothers. Stop.
That's a fact.
I thought Lukaku wanted to come back here and change the course of the whole, you know, Chelsea Football Club and backing on business and whatnot and all that shit. But he isn't. And he needs to be released. Not sold. Released.
Yeah?
I want us to take... I calculated how much his wages are worth, 50 million or something like that. Brother, if you take the 50 million and you get him out of the club, that's a marquee signing. I'm telling you that right now. I'm here for it. Stop buying mercenaries. This is one too many lessons learned now. Stop it. If you want to have a team that actually gives a shit, but also has the quality and everybody's in the same boat, unison and whatnot, then stop buying mercenaries, fam.
Stop buying mercenaries. Exactly.
We're starting to become Arsenal. Arsenal, do you know what's so funny? Arsenal have become us and we've become Arsenal.
We become Arsenal.
It's like we've swapped places. Just
overnight. Ping. Oh yeah, that was it.
They've become like really physically imposing and bullied us, and they got technical players and they've got like a mentality, and we now are like really weak, and you know there's mercenaries in the team and we're getting bantered. It's mad.
Role reversal. Luis Garcia, thank you for the super chat. They messed up appointing him anyway. This guy's a stepping stone coach. Wow. What comes out of his mouth when we lose. This guy's a loser. He's so unlikable. His comments don't help him either. There's several. Look, he's given himself rope to hang himself. But man, look, I've got to stay principled on this, and still I've got to say, look, I'm gonna judge after this, and somehow outside of something catastrophic, right? I expected this. CFC Blue, thanks for the super chat again. Levi Colwell will play for us as Potter wanted him. Vivek, big up yourself, bro. I'm going into hiding. If we beat City, Arsenal go 10 points clear. We lose both ways.
Facts.
Yeah, there's nothing else that Potter can do to help this team. 9th enduring against Nottingham Forest is poor. Yeah, it is. It's unacceptable.
It's really poor.
It's unacceptable. And we just have to have you got an extra 5 minutes, Matisse? I just want to go through. So just real quick, let's just summarize with the situation with Graham Potter before we talk on extra transfers that's needed on top of Enzo Fernandez. Real quick. So your stance on Graham Potter, so we're clear, you don't want him to be sacked just yet?
No.
How much time?
No chance.
How much time would you say to give him?
He for me, he has the whole season, unless, like you said, in the context of a normal Chelsea season or even a poor Chelsea season, you can't get relegated. You can't be in the bottom 5 or the bottom 7. You can't even be in the bottom half. You need to get yourself back into European places. You need to be back. You know, if we were to finish 6th, 5th, I don't expect him to be sacked. I wouldn't sack him. But if you're dwindling in like 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, of course. Now you're on a piss take thing. So now we're on a whole different conversation. Do you know what I'm saying? So no, for me, he shouldn't be sacked, and you need to give him his time, because, like I said, we don't know if he's the guy, but we have to find out, because he's here. Do you know what I'm saying? And he does have potential. I think he's got some things that I'm worried about, you know, ruthlessness and whatnot. But we'll see. You have to give a man an opportunity to show that before we actually, you know, go and do a madness.
Denzel, are you all right, mate? Is everything okay at home? Role reversal Mars. Chelsea wasn't nobody.
Yeah,
if you're an Arsenal fan, I beg you, even if you win the league and it's 1 in 20, brother, we've done 2 Champions Leagues in that time, bruv. Yeah, and a Super Cup, yeah, and 2 Europa Leagues. How many of those have you got? Story done. 2 multiplied by 10 plus 1. You know about that, bruv, yeah? Guni's done. Hey, listen, now we're going to go into Enzo Fernandez real quick. It's going to be the last topic. 965 people in the building, yeah? People, let me know. Have I asked for the bare minimal target of 500? Has that been reached yet? Can you let me know? Or are you, man, doing me dirty? You're not giving me the 500. What yeah? Hey, but says here, big up Fraser. Enzo Fernandez to Chelsea from Benfica is in his final stages. Player has already agreed personal terms with English club. We knew this. And the transfer can be officially in the next days. Honestly, this is no guarantees from me. And I'm just going off pure speculation here. I purely believe that this deal was done the day that he was on the bench for was supposed to be on the bench for Benfica. I think everything was signed, sealed, delivered by then. And I think we're just at the stage now of a waiting game. But again, it could be egg in my face. I could be wrong. Nothing official. I am not in the know. I'm none of those things. This is just my inklings. But yes, I'm happy with the Enzo Fernandez deal. I haven't asked you about Enzo Fernandez, how you feel about that. So just real quick, 10 seconds. Let me know how you feel about that. And then we're going to talk 30 seconds about some targets that need to be signed around him. Go.
I'm excited for him, because I think he's a quality player. He's shown that at Benfica. You know, even I ain't watching Benfica week in, week out. I've spoken to Benfica fans. I've had a Benfica fan on my channel. I've looked at the highlights. I've looked at the statistics, and then we saw him in the World Cup. So it all points in the direction of a really, really good player. And then even people that were watching River Plate are speaking on him. And it's the attributes that he has in terms of he can pass the ball, he can dictate tempo, something that this Chelsea midfield can't do. Do you know what I mean? They're not creating chances enough. They're not dictating the tempo. They're getting dominated. They're getting controlled. He's got that bit of bite about him. So I am excited about it. I am excited about the transfer. Is the money side of it is way too much? 100%. Is the midfield fixed if he comes in? No, we still need a DM. He's not a DM. If you use him as a DM, we'll have to see how that goes. But I'm getting kind of bored of playing people out of position. I would like him to play next to a DM, so he has the license to get a little bit further forward, to pop off those shots, to play those passes, and then we can actually have a balanced midfield. Let's not ask him to do shit that he shouldn't really be doing. So we still need a DM. It probably has to come in the summer. So then that is why I've been kind of asking and seeing, can Zakaria be the sitter? It's all well and good playing Zakaria next to Jorginho, but if Zakaria is not going to be a sitter, he's going to be a box-to-box, then he's not helping us in our weakest area or in our area of least depth. So we've already got cover, we've got Mount, we've got Loftus-Cheek. We have players that can play, you know, box-to-box. We don't have a DM. So we need to rectify that. So yeah, and in terms of players coming in, we need a right back. We need a right back desperately. I think this is where the recruitment team and the scouting team should be able to find someone for, you know, 15 million even.
Juranovic over at Celtic is a name that we've been linked to, and he's going to cost between 8 and 12 million pounds.
Apparently, yeah. This is not a splashing thing. This is a Timicast. I know he was shit yesterday, but this is like a Timicast 8 million thing. Go and get a right back who is good enough to start, modern day fullback, can go forward. Didn't cost you a whole heap of money, because the amount of money we spent is very it's very difficult for me to defend us right now on rival platforms. We are spending a lot of money, and ain't nobody should feel sorry for us. Ain't nobody should even sympathize with us. Nobody outside of ourselves should be doing anything but bantering us, because we have spent so much money, like record-breaking spend last summer, and now 100 and something. Brother, I don't even want to even run up the figures. So it's long. So yeah, we need a right back. We need, obviously Enzo comes in. And then after that, I'm not too bothered. I'm not going to lie to you. The reason why I say that is because I think a lot is spoken about incomings. Not enough is spoken about outgoings. I want to see Amari Hutchinson on the right wing more often. I want to see Lewis Hall in the midfield more often.
Yeah.
I want to see, those young players that have quality. Carney, what could he do for our team? Let's start actually using our resources properly here, and let's start playing these players. Even if they're going to make mistakes, let's start using them. If we're not making top four anyway, I don't give a damn about
exactly. Now
you know what I'm saying? Like, brother, let's actually start giving these guys the opportunity to push these starters and see if they can change the course and change the narrative. So get those two positions in, and I'm personally going to be all right with that until I see who leaves, because I think you need to get rid of players as well. I'm very interested in the sales. If we're not getting rid of players, I'm concerned, because then we're going to have a bloated squad, and we're going to have more players that we don't really rate and like. So
yeah, getting rid of the players, to me, right, that need to be gotten rid of is the most important. For me, number one was getting the technical director in. That was the most important transfer. We still got two more that are coming in. We got Vivo. That's good enough for me. The second most important thing was outgoings. Whether you bought in Endrick, Neymar, Messi, Enzo in the same window, until the usual suspects are out that door, problems are going to be consistent. So that for me is key. I agree with you on that one. I've got Tony here from Chelsea SW6. Big up yourself every time, geezer. I've got to get you on the channel to discuss this, actually. Potter has to go. Sorry, boys. Getting rid of TT was madness. I'll say this. Getting rid of TT when we got rid of him was the madness for me. In terms of why, I could understand that rift between the board and the manager. They weren't seeing eye to eye. The vision was not the same. They were not going to go in the same direction. So that was inevitable. 6 finals reached in 18 months with the same players that we suddenly think is crap. That's a decent point. It's all about standards. 1 win in 7. He's out of his depth. Now, you see, look, Tony, you make some good points there that I can't argue with, Brad. But that's obviously going to be a conversation that me and you have to have on the channel sometime, my friend. So thank you for dropping the comments. I got bare people in the chat. If you're new, do me a massive favor. We're trying to get up to 15K. So if you're new to the platform, hit that subscribe button so we can start our road to 20K once we get to 15, man. Let's grow this platform. If you're watching after the live is done, leave your thoughts in the comments as well. I'd really appreciate that. We're at 1,045 people in the building. Have I got the 500 yet? I'm asking just for half. Matisse, I'm asking for too much.
I'm seeing some. Great comment section, but I'm seeing 1-2 people saying, "Is that guy with the glasses an Arsenal fan?" This is a serious conversation.
This is a what?
Stop chatting shit, fam. If you're confusing me with because I remember that rumor on Twitter with Miz, they were like, "Oh, because he took his cousins to an Arsenal game, he must be an Arsenal fan." If you're confusing me with Miz, which I think a few people, he's not an Arsenal fan either. He was never an Arsenal fan. This is a serious conversation. Some of you need to get serious. Stop chatting shit, fam. Please, fuck. Damn.
Ted Turner, talk about Manu Kone. I intend to. So today I'm going to put out a video about Pedro Porro and Malo Gusto. I've been watching Leon because of Malo Gusto. As well.
Yeah, I'm not pushing the Juranovic because I ain't watching Celtic. I actually used to watch Celtic when Aidan McGeady, Scott Brown was in his pomp, fucking Van Dijk and Tierney and Dembele, and bro, that was a great Celtic team. I was watching Celtic back then. I don't watch Celtic, so I've been trying to get a Celtic fan on the channel. I still haven't got it sorted yet. But to talk about Juranovic, because I'm not going to judge him just off the World Cup. But Enzo's obviously got the Benfica behind him, and River Plate, and he's actually 30. I don't know about Juranovic. I don't know about brother. In terms of right backs, I'm not going to lie. I don't have a preference yet. I used to look for Livramento to come back, but he had a massive injury.
Yeah,
and it's like, nah, you can't bring another person who's off a big injury. So
with the right back situation, I'm not gonna lie to you, Matisse. I'm at a point where I'm beyond us going for a backup right back. I think we need to go for a right back that is probably not that you're gonna get it, but at that standard where he could be giving Reece James a run for his money, because I've accepted, even from the summer, that this guy is injury prone and we cannot rely on him for large parts of the season. And that's not what you want. And to have like a second tier right back to be playing the majority of the games over Reece James, I'm not really a huge fan of. So I'd rather us go looking at, from what I've seen of Malo Gusto, I do like him. There are some deficiencies that I'm going to explain in the video, and that similar with Pedro Porro as well. Two names that I wouldn't mind seeing at Chelsea. I'm definitely going to do a video on that. And then afterwards, I will be doing some more videos on other midfield roles that we need to address. So players from there. As much as I like Manu Kone, by the way, whoever put that comment up, he's been used a lot more recently by Leverkusen as a box-to-box midfielder. So, we got to see. Very talented player. But right now, I want that purist. Yeah, I want to hear us being linked with names like Romeo Lavia. I want to hear us being linked with names like Palhinha over there at Fulham. That's a very easy transfer to do. They're not going to ask for an extortion, and he's definitely playing below the level that he is at. He is a very, very talented player. Once we get two of those, I believe we're going in that right direction, the backup right back. And then after that, now we start to look at other areas in the pitch. Goalkeeper situation. We need to know what's going on there. Mendy, I don't think he's going to sign another contract. And the thing is with Mendy, because he's not on astronomical figures anyway, I think he's going to get a club. I don't think that's going to be hard for him to move on. Kepa's the problem. He's going to stay. But he's not a first choice goalkeeper. We need to address that first choice. So there's a lot of building to do. There's a lot of work to do. And we're here for it. January is going to be the first test for for Graham Potter. This board, for me, they failed the summer test. They've got to get January right. And this summer coming, there can be no excuses. There can be no excuses. I'm expecting aggressive pursuits for what we need. And I'm expecting, what's that word? Efficiency. We're going to have 2 more members in the director team. We've got several people we can send to do the negotiations. No more excuses. Let's do what we need to do. And finally, before I ask Matisse what he's got coming up on his channel or what he's already got put up, once again, 1,000 people in the building. Yeah, I'm just asking for bare minimum or half that number. It's not long. It's not that much. And it's free. Slap the button. Yeah, I'm not going to start getting aggressive and threatening my chats, because there's some content creators that throw their... I'm not having it. Yeah, I'm not coming back until I've got X amount of... I'm not that guy. Yeah, I'm polite. You get me? Hit that like button. That's all I ask. But Matisse, what have you got coming up on your channel? What have you already got coming up on your channel? You are absolutely smashing it at the moment. So
busy. No, it's busy, people. There's a lot of content coming. In terms of the gaming, we had the FIFA episodes. Man looks like he's about to get sacked. Do you know what I'm saying? I couldn't turn it around for this team. everything we've discussed, I couldn't do it. I couldn't get it done. But no, London Club's Carnage is out. Mad episode with Tobes, Dan Lawless and Dan Potts. Serious episode, especially because Tottenham and West Ham are struggling as well. And then, of course, watch along tonight for Arsenal versus Newcastle. Watch along tomorrow for Spurs versus Palace. Watch along for our game. So I'm doing watch alongs for all the big 6 teams at the moment. Me and Saeed are ringing each other and doing a madness after Liverpool, Brentford. And just obviously all you can eat Chelsea is coming soon. Previews are dropping. Opposition analysis for Man City is coming. My separate preview will come. So it's going to be 2 previews for the Man City game. And then obviously we play them again. There'll be separate previews after. So yeah, a lot of content, man. Minimum double uploads right now.
Yeah, man. You lot already heard. I'm trying to follow suit with Matisse, bruv. Yeah, the trendsetter. I'm trying to do double uploads myself. 1 live a day, 1 upload a day. As for this channel, tomorrow I should have Man City Daps for the preview of Chelsea versus Man City. And also as well, I've got a certain John Sitton who will be coming on the channel this week. If you lot don't know who John Sitton is, aka Sits, yeah, I suggest you lot do your homework, bruv. This is the kind of, those of you that are complaining about Potter being a lot reserved and not saying much as a manager, please go on YouTube right now and type in John Sitton changing room. You're gonna see you're gonna see an absolute madness. But people, blessings to all of you. Whether you hit the like button or not, you lot are here. Thank you so much. Your support is much appreciated. Appreciate it, man, people. But listen, man, wherever you are, let me get my words out. Come on. Wherever you are, wherever you're doing, man, please make sure you stay safe. To those of you that have seen the new year, everybody here seen the new year. It's a blessing. Do not take that for granted because some people didn't get to see the new year. So listen, hug your family, appreciate your friends, all of that good stuff. And as always, up the Chelsea. Yeah. Bless up, people. We're gone.